Hey again, Izzy Galanti, CXO, co-founder Mosaic IP. I'll be your guide on the side for this standards tab. Now, the most critical piece of the puzzle of building experiential and relevant, authentic lessons is to understand the standards that you're using, the alignment to assessment that is required to understand, as well as how the standard impacts things such as academic vocabulary, which will help to form lesson objectives and so on, as you'll see as you go through this program and the journey. But for the practical purposes, down at the bottom right here in Mosaic is our Add Standards button. You can kind of customize and create your own, or if you have some that are not in the system that maybe you pull in from a different source, then you can use that and copy and paste in there, or however you want to do it. You can select the content practices. These are the practitioner practices for each of the core four at least. And we can see that since this is a math course, then this is going to be a math practice standard that we might put in to our lesson. Lastly, most importantly, is to select from the bank of standards that are available. You can filter by grade. You can filter by content and subject to get some cross-curricular action. You can even do a search for certain keywords and see where in 7th grade math those keywords show up. Or we can simply kind of understand what unit we're on, go into the different domains, and then select. In this case, I'm going to select EE.B.3, right, which is solve multi-step real life and mathematical problems, etc., etc. So I'm going to add that to my lesson. Now, this is becoming my focus standard. When we say focus standard versus complementary or support standards, something you just saw, like the practices, those are support or complementary standards. Also, maybe instructional frameworks. You'll see that there's a tab here for instructional frameworks that may be connected to your school's account that you want to consider and use as a resource for as you're building your lesson and think through. In this case, we're just going to focus on this one focus standard. Now, when we choose the focus content standard and we click continue, we see that it is already leveled for us. This is using a hybrid version of the Hess-Rigger matrix, whereby we're seeing Webb's depth of knowledge across the top, which starts with just basic levels of understanding, goes through skills and concepts, extended thinking, etc. And also then we're seeing that how it is in conjunction with Bloom's taxonomy. And in this case, we would say that this standard is at a level 2, which is a skill and concept, apply. Level 2, apply. This is going to tell us the level of thinking required for students to answer pretty complex estate and other assessment questions, and at what kind of level of questioning should we use to associate and to get students to think at those levels in order to be successful in those tasks. Okay, so most importantly, like I said, when we pick a standard, we're picking our focus standard. We click continue to consider what level of rigor that focus standard is at, and then we might want to add some other options. So I know that for this type of standard, I'm going to have to do maybe some reasoning, or more importantly, construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others, so that I'm really thinking through a process that might result in me personalizing and internalizing that more. So I'm going to add those two, and that becomes part of my my structure. It really guides my thinking as I move into evidence of learning. Notice that when we're in evidence of learning, we see our standard, we see the level of rigor, and now we're thinking about what type of assessment we can make that is fully aligned to the standard. And that is the most important piece. We want to make sure that what we're teaching, we're assessing. And we want to make sure that what we're assessing and teaching aligns to the bigger picture of state and other types of assessments that students are going to be required to show some level of mastery on. All right, that's it for this standards tab. Hope you got something out of it. As always, put some questions or comments in the video itself, or email us at info@mosaic-ip.com. Happy planning.